Hi, what's up guys? Razanon here. Welcome to part 2 of 3 in my Black Ops 4 year in review series. Part 1 will be linked in the description as well as part 3. In part 1 I went over the good stuff in Black Ops 4, what I really enjoyed about it. This video, part 2, are going to be the bad things about Black Ops 4. Things I didn't like very much, things that were bad for the game. Part 3 is going to be just things that are even more bad. This is going to be called the ugly. The things that Black Ops 4 got disastrously wrong. Keep your eyes peeled for that. That should be dropping next week. And this video is probably going to be a little longer than part 1 because it's easier to complain about a game than it is to praise it. And if we're going over things we dislike about the game, that often leaves room for suggestions. So that's one of the reasons this video is probably going to be longer than the first. And part 3 will probably be longer than both of the preceding two. Because this is a great game and it got a lot of things right, but it got a lot of things wrong. And we're going to jump into those right now. Starting with the mantling. Pretty much the only problem I have with the mantling in Black Ops 4 is that you will mantle things or try to climb over things or on top of things way more often than you intend to. So if you're like strafing or jump shotting and you happen to be within about a square mile of something that could be climbed on, your character will climb on it, even when that's not your intention. And because mantling takes a decent amount of time to do in this game, you will often die as a result. I know there's a setting where you can turn off like automatic mantle, and there are 3 options. So automatic mantle is on, which means if you run up to something and it's climbable, you'll just fucking climb it. Option 2 is the option I use, which is, I think something like if you're by a mantleable object and you press the jump keybind, you'll mantle. And then option 3 is you have to press a dedicated mantle keybind to climb something. So yes, if I really hated this problem as much as it sounds like I do, I could just create a separate keybind that will stop me from ever accidentally mantling something. But I don't think that should be necessary. I think I should be able to have a jump / mantle keybind that works as intended, because there are many other games where it does, which is the proof and concept that it is possible to do that. This game just can't. This game just got it wrong, I guess. I don't know why. But particularly with how popular jump shooting is in Black Ops 4 and how effective it is, you're going to be strafing around corners and just jumping in general often. And the fact that you will randomly mantle shit that you're not even facing really throws me off, and it gets me killed a lot. And I just wish the mantling had been better in this game. This next one really pisses me right the fuck off. The ping in this game is fake news. Period. And it's even worse than that, because whenever I get into a lobby and it says I have 100 ping, for example, I either have 100 ping or I have more than that. I never have less ping than the game tells me. But often it will say I have 40 ping and I absolutely do not have 40 ping. Sometimes it'll say 40 ping and it will actually be 40 ping. And it's very obvious, especially with how often I play this game. And I'm sure many of you have played online shooters enough to where you can kind of get a general sense for how much ping you have. So I know whether or not I'm actually in a 40 ping lobby. So my options for ping are essentially my displayed ping is accurate, or my displayed ping is lower than my actual ping. I'm never pleasantly surprised when it says I have 90 ping and I actually have 50. That never happens. It's always either accurate or I have more ping than the game is telling me I have. Now, first of all, how in 2019 can you not figure out a simple fucking ping indicator? Especially with how important ping is in really any multiplayer game, but particularly in a first-person shooter, where milliseconds really fucking count. You should be able to at least display accurate ping reliably so that the player has a sense for what they can expect, what weapons they can use, what specialists they can use. For example, if I'm on a 100 ping server and I maybe wanted to play as Prophet, I'm no longer ever going to do that, because the Tempest, Prophet's ultimate ability, already has some travel time. So if I'm just gonna pile 100 milliseconds of ping on top of that, it's a no-go. I'm gonna not use that specialist anymore. Prophet on 40 ping? Great, let's do it. Prophet on 100? No. So it's even more of a problem when the game tells me I have 40 ping and I think it's safe for me to queue as Prophet, and I come to find I actually have like 100 ping. And this isn't even with specialist weapons only. I'm not gonna use pretty much any burst fire weapon or most single-shot weapons on a high-ping server, because if a character model that I'm shooting at is in one spot and I fire at it with a burst weapon, they could no longer be there. With an automatic weapon, it's pretty easy to compensate for that because you have constant feedback because the weapon is firing automatically, obviously. With a burst fire weapon, you don't get that same instantaneous feedback. So if I'm on high ping, I'm just going to avoid burst weapons altogether. So not only is it annoying to not know how much ping I have just for curiosity's sake, but it actually will factor in to how I play that particular match with that particular amount of ping. So having a good, reliable ping indicator is really important. In addition, and this one pisses me off more than probably anything on this entire list, including the ugly section of this 3-part series. I live in Southern California, the most populated state in the United States of America, and probably, almost certainly, the most populated province or state in all of the North American continent. So how is it that I am always on East Coast servers? How is it that I always have more ping than everyone else in the lobby? And this isn't just a me issue. Everyone with whom I play that is on the West Coast reliably has more ping than everyone else. I don't understand how that's possible. Shouldn't the greatest density of servers be closest to the most populated areas? I mean, of all regions in the entire world, I think the state of California probably has the most Call of Duty PC players. So why the fuck don't we have a server? It boggles my mind, and I could be misunderstanding something here. So maybe someone in the comments can explain to me how it's possible that I live in the most populated region in all of the world for Call of Duty players, and I reliably have to connect to some fucking East Coast server like an asshole. I don't understand it. Surely you should have more servers closer to where most of your player base is. So I have no clue why, as a West Coast player, I'm always in the top 5 percentile of highest ping on the server. And speaking of shoddy design choices, I bought this game and started playing it probably 3 months after launch. And from that point to the patch when the Javelina was released, so that's a span of what, 6-7 months? My game crashed, and I want you to pay attention, this is important. My game crashed exactly 0 times. I have a 9900K, a 2080, 32 gigs of RAM, Windows 10, an SSD, all fairly new. My computer is more than capable of running Black Ops 4, as evidenced by the fact that it ran it perfectly up until a particular patch. It is October 5th at the time of recording this video. Ever since the Javelina patch came in, it's been a couple weeks, couple months probably now, my game reliably crashes every single time I play. And I know it's not my computer because, again, my computer ran it perfectly until this patch, and I changed none of the hardware, none of the software for this entire timeline. So the only variable here is the Javelina patch did something to break my game, and it constantly crashes. People have complained about this, people have shared this issue with other players and with the dev team. No fix. I would be amazed if it was fixed before Modern Warfare released. And even if it is, hey, who gives a fuck? You should have fixed this way sooner. It's great that you patch your game and add weapons in. The choice of weapons is not great, and we're gonna get to that in the next video. But adding content, fantastic. Patching the game, fantastic. But you should probably prioritize the game actually fucking working and not crashing on very reliable systems. And if you do release a patch that causes users to crash, hey, no sweat, man. Shit happens. Coding is complicated. AAA game title, multi-million-dollar company, by the way. But you should be able to deploy a fix for this with some haste. Relatively soon. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, I don't know. But my game is still broken. Still. I've Googled fixes. I've tried every goddamn thing on the internet I can find. No fix works for me. I've given up. Now what I do is I accept that, hey, I'm gonna play Black Ops 4 today, and I'm gonna mentally steel myself to crash and get pissed off about it and have to fucking restart my Blizzard client, the game itself, my OBS studio, because now it's fucked up. it's a disaster every single time. And I've given up on trying to fix it, because if Activision or Treyarch can't fix it in a matter of months, certainly I can't fix it. So I have no idea why. I guess they just don't care to patch the game now so that it works for people. It's a shitty design choice. It's a shitty thing to do to your consumer, but they've already gotten my money. I can't refund the game anymore, and the game's at the end of its life cycle, so they're not super invested in trying to milk me out of any more money for the next 3 weeks. So they're just never gonna patch it. And it's a really fucking scummy thing to do. All right, so next up, the 150 health thing. I know this is actually gonna be controversial, but I want you to hear me out and I want you to hear my whole argument. Because the 150 health choice, it's nuanced and it's not all bad. But in the grand scheme of things, overall, I do think it's too much health. The higher the total health of everyone, the more this rewards good players and players who aim super well. So for example, if we're playing Call of Duty World War II and I have an SMG and I run up and catch Syrian completely off guard, I'm exactly at his 6 o'clock, totally behind him. If it's World War II and I start shooting him, he's dead. What about if it was Nate Gibson? He's dead. They don't really have a choice. There's not really much they can do. In Black Ops 4, though, because of the extra health, it gives them a lot more time to be able to kill me because they're better players. So obviously it would depend on the circumstances. One of those options might be disengaging. One of those options might be turning around and just shooting me in the face. One of them might be turning around and drop shotting. One of them might be running around a corner, baiting me into a shot punch. So that's just kind of one specific example of what I mean, but if there's more health, that means each player has to hit a greater number of shots on the enemy to kill them. And what that means is accuracy matters more and more as the health total increases. So let's say we're playing hardcore and it takes 1 bullet to kill for each of our weapons. Whoever wins that engagement is largely going to be who sees the other person first. Because if I see you first, all I have to do is land 1 bullet. And I get to start spraying before you even know I'm there. And then you're dead in 1 bullet as soon as I land it. But if it's not hardcore, if it's Black Ops 4 150 health, if I start shooting first and my accuracy's not that great, I might do half of your health and damage, but you still have time to turn, look at me, assess the situation, and if your accuracy is much higher than mine, you'll kill me. So the higher the health total, the more rewarded the good player with good aim is. So you might be saying to yourself right now, well, why do you not like that, Casey? Why do you not like that, Razanon? Well, it's a good question. Number one, I think you need to give the shitters an opportunity to get really good, really cool plays. So no matter how bad you are, there will be times where you flank 4 people. And if you're not that good and you flank 4 people in Black Ops 4, you're behind all of them, none of them see you, you're gonna get 1, maybe 2 kills and then you're gonna get shit on. However, in the exact same scenario, if it's like hardcore, or even if it's core in an older Call of Duty where the health pool's only 100 points, you have a much better chance of just wiping everyone. And I think it's important to have plays like that be available to a lot of people. But that's certainly not my biggest problem with 150 health. Personally, being a better than average player, I actually don't care about that stuff. I'd rather the health pool be higher personally because my skill level is higher than most people's. So it does reward me for the most part. The big problem with it though is that if you still have one-shot kill weapons, all of a sudden 150 health goes from being really cool to being fucking terrible. Let's say on average with an average assault rifle and 100 health pool, it takes someone 200 milliseconds to die. If we increase that health pool to 150 and keep everything else the same, it now takes 265 milliseconds. The longer it takes on average to kill someone, the more OP one-shot kill weapons become. Because let's say I'm using a sniper rifle that's a one-shot kill weapon. If I only have 200 milliseconds to land a shot on you, that's gonna be a level of difficulty. Let's call it 5 out of 10 difficulty points. But if I have 265 milliseconds to land 1 bullet on you, the difficulty is now 3 out of 10 instead of 5 out of 10. And the more you increase that health pool, the longer I have with my one-shot kill weapon to land 1 shot and you're dead. So what that means is in Black Ops 4, these one-shot kill weapons can be really overpowered. in the right hands. If you've ever used the GKS, for example, you're probably intimately familiar with this phenomenon. It's going to take you 5 seconds of landing every bullet to kill someone. And if that person has a Locust or a Koshka or a Paladin, they can miss all they want. They have 5 seconds to just land one bullet on you and you're dead. So when you have a health pool that's about 100, like most other Call of Duties, I think snipers are about appropriately balanced. The sniper has a reasonable amount of time to be able to land a shot, and the non-sniper has a reasonable amount of time to kill the sniper. And honestly, for most people, it's pretty tough to land a bullet on someone within, say, 200 milliseconds. But part of the strengths of a sniper rifle are that you can shoot someone from very far away. So if someone runs up on you with an SMG, you shouldn't be favored in that matchup. At that point, you've already made the mistake of letting someone get within 15 meters of you. So when you have 100 health and you find yourself as a sniper in that position, you should be at a disadvantage. And in Black Ops 4, you still are at a disadvantage, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot less of a disadvantage than in Call of Duties of the past, because you actually have quite a bit more time to land that shot. And the main problem with 150 health is fucking knives. Knives, ballistic knives, crossbows, tomahawks, all of a sudden become way better than they used to ever be, and more people will start using them. Let's say my aim's not that great and I'm getting frustrated. Well, you can switch to a knife class and you have a lot of time to just run straight at some dude and stab him. All you have to do, you don't even have to aim as if you have a sniper rifle. All you have to do is get close enough to him to left click and he's dead. So you literally just put people on a timer. That's always been the case, technically. You're always putting someone on a timer. But if you have a knife and you're 10 meters from me in World War II or any other Call of Duty with a 100 health pool, you're dead pretty fucking fast. You've got to either get me by surprise or I have to be reloading or something for a knife to ever work in an old Call of Duty. And that's how it should be. They should be good for guarding doorways. When someone walks in, you're behind them, boom, knife. That's fine, and that's how it should work. But in Black Ops 4, especially when you add in like crash, tac boost, or body armor, there are times when I see some guy 15 meters away and I'm almost done with my reload, but I'm not done yet, and he's just zigzagging toward me, and I'm like, fuck. I'm trying to backpedal, I'm finishing my reload, I start shooting him, I even land every single shot, but because his health pool is so large, doesn't matter, I die anyway. The viability of knifing has never been higher because of the health pool in Black Ops 4, and that's a serious fucking problem. Because the point of a first-person shooter is to shoot your gun, right? So if everyone starts knifing because it's super viable to knife, then you're just alienating the vast majority of the player base who bought the game to shoot a gun, not to get stabbed. And this point on 150 health being overall bad for the game dovetails nicely into my final point for this video, which is some of the operator mods are too strong. Now, I know I praised operator mods in part 1 of this series, because for the most part, the operator mods are well balanced and cool. However, there are 3 in particular that are not, and these 3 operator mods are even worse because of this 150 health problem we just got done talking about. One of them is the MOG 12, the shotgun. It has a Dragon's Breath operator mod, which basically allows the gun to do fire damage over time once you hit someone with it. Now, I actually don't think the problem with the MOG is this operator mod. I think this operator mod could be balanced. The real problem with the MOG 12 isn't actually the Dragon's Breath, the operator mod. It's the fact that it has barrel choke. So long barrel on every weapon that has it available increases the damage ranges. It does this for the MOG, but what that does is it shrinks your hipfire reticle. So your hipfire reticle starts about here. You put on long barrel and it shrinks it down. So you can more easily hip fire people. And when you do that, a greater concentration of that pellet spread is collapsed into a smaller window, which makes hip firing more effective because you can hip fire someone that's in this smaller window and all of the damage is going to be within that window. The most OP thing about the MOG, which should have not made it to the final release of the game, is the barrel choke, which is basically long barrel 2. So starts here, you put on long barrel, and then you put on barrel choke, your hip fire body box becomes very small. So you never have to ADS with the MOG 12. You just put your tiny ass hipfire reticle on somebody, pull the trigger, all of that pellet spread is collapsed into this tiny window, and you one-shot people. You don't even need the operator mod at most ranges. If you hit someone with that entire tiny bullet spread, they're going to die. Now, something like this shotgun, being a one-hit kill weapon, wouldn't necessarily be overpowered if everyone only had 100 health rather than 150. Because again, it puts the shotgun user on a timer to land that shot before they themselves are dead. But I think even if the health pool was just 100, the barrel choke would be overpowered. Because not only does it really collapse that hipfire reticle, but the damage range itself, the damage drop-off, it just has too much range. You can one-tap people from way too far with the MOG 12. And it's just one of these many one-hit kill weapons that's just really overpowered in a 150 health game like Black Ops 4. So if there wasn't a barrel choke, I actually think Dragon's Breath would be really strong for sure, but not overpowered, because you'd have to be a lot closer and or you'd have to actually aim down your sights, making it more difficult to land shots, and then it would be largely fine. Because again, you're spending 3 points, 3 create a class points to get an operator mod. But if you add barrel choke on top of this Dragon's Breath, it melts. It's way too good, and it's just a one tap, you're dead. In addition, there's another operator mod called the Skull Splitter on the Mozu. This makes it so that if you headshot someone with the revolver, the Mozu, they are dead. Doesn't matter how much health they have, doesn't matter how far away you are. It's not even a damage multiplier. That's how OP this is. The operator mod literally reads, all headshots are lethal. You have this revolver with 6 rounds, and then you put the combat scope on, and you can just spam left click at someone's head. All you need is one of them to land, instantly dead. It's not a super effective weapon, but it can be pretty good. And if someone can aim really well, it can be very good. And again, a thing like a Skull Splitter in a game with such a slow time to kill, it makes it feel like there's nothing you could have done if you die to it, because the time to kill is just too great. And then the last overpowered operator mod that shouldn't be in this game, this isn't exactly related to the 150 health point, unlike the other 2 weapons we talked about, but this is the bolt cylinder. There's a sniper rifle called the Outlaw. It's a one-shot kill headshot, and if you put on high caliber, it's also a one-shot kill to the upper chest, and it's semi-automatic with a fairly fast refire rate. Now that's all well and good. I think the weapon is balanced perfectly fine. It's one of those weapons where if you can aim really well, it can be super strong, but it's certainly not overpowered, particularly because you have to be able to aim well to even be decent with it. Because if you're not shooting in this one-hit kill zone, your time to kill just dramatically drops off, and you're going to have a bad time. But there is an operator mod called the bolt cylinder, and what that does is instead of pulling the trigger and firing 1 round, and then having a delay between shot number 2, it fires a 3-round burst. Bop, 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 every time you pull the trigger. What this means is you can be fairly inaccurate and you're still gonna get a bunch of kills, because if those 3 bullets land anywhere at all on somebody, they're gonna die. If even 2 of those bullets land anywhere at all on someone, they're gonna die. And if even 1 of those bullets lands in the kill zone, they're gonna die. So if you aim in someone's general direction with a bolt cylinder, you're very often going to get the kill, and you don't necessarily have to be that accurate. Oftentimes, I see people with a bolt cylinder all run around a corner, they pan their weapon, pull the trigger, and keep panning. So they pan through me. They didn't stop and aim at me at all. They just timed it so that they pulled their trigger about when I'm in their crosshairs. And since it's firing 3 bullets, they have this huge spread where as long as they time it reasonably well, 1 of those 3 bullets will land on me. And more often than not, 1 of those 3 bullets will either land in the kill zone, or 2 or more bullets will land anywhere, and then I'm dead. It again is one of these weapons where you feel like you have no chance to counterplay it. Now, I'm gonna leave it at that for this video. I know a lot of you may be screaming at your monitors right now about how I didn't talk about this weapon or that other thing that's super overpowered. Don't fucking worry. We're getting to those in part 3. Again, part 3 is the ugly, the things that are really grossly wrong with this game. And that's where I'm going to be getting into Javelina, Rampage, all the other bullshit with this game, all the other things that it got catastrophically wrong. But in this section, I wanted to relegate myself to those weapons which were released at launch. And honestly, all 3 of the weapons I just talked about are not nearly as egregious examples of poor design choice as the weapons we will be talking about in the coming video, part 3. If you hated this video, be sure to leave me a thumbs down. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. Comment what you think, what I got right, what I got wrong. If you agree, if you disagree, I would love to hear from you. If you don't want to miss part 3, be sure to subscribe. I'm going to continue to make Call of Duty videos on this channel indefinitely, so if you enjoy Call of Duty multiplayer, that's the only thing this channel's focused on. So be sure to subscribe if you want to be up to date on all the latest tips, tricks, analyses of the game related to that. Additionally, I stream on Twitch every goddamn day at twitch.tv/Razanon. It is the same name as my channel name on YouTube. You can find me there. I'm super interactive with chat. The entire reason I stream is for that purpose. So if you're able to catch me live, want to ask me something, want to tell me I'm a piece of shit, you will for sure get a response. I love to do it. I hope you enjoyed. As I said, let me know what you think. Hopefully I catch you on Twitch sometime in the future. And as always, young kings, stay humble. Oops.